Okay, I'm Realm Slayer, and this is Blue Painter. It's a combo deck that uh, just it kills pretty quickly, and it um, you just draw a bunch of cards, you cast a bunch of mana, and if you don't have a kill, you draw a bunch more cards and you cast a bunch more mana. Usually, what you want to do is like cast one half, then draw seven, then cast the other half. But let's break this down because there's a lot going on here. First up, the combos. So there's Echo Vions and Narset and LED. The LEDs enable the Echo of Eons, although you can just get to enough mana to hardcast the Echo of Eons too. That's not entirely unusual in like control mirrors. Narset stops your opponent from like drawing more than one card per turn, so you get to Mind Twist them and draw seven, which is considerably more busted than Time Twister in combination. And you also have Painter Servant and Grindstone, which, you know, just kills them. What I meant by like casting one half and then drawing seven and then casting the other half is you cast Painter and then you draw seven, you cast Grindstone, or vice versa. Now the cool thing about how these combos interact is that you actually have, let me just make sure I'm recording and I'm not being a dunce. Yeah, okay. You actually have when you get one half, or when you get a part of either combo, like this is all synergistic, except for I guess Painter, which is an ongoing source of irritation for me. This is all synergistic with each other. If you have just Grindstone, it helps you, like you can mill yourself and hit Echo. If you, well, not all of it is synergistic with each other, but a lot of it is synergistic with each other. If you have Grindstone, you can mill yourself to hit Echo. If you have Echo, it works well with the Narset. If you have LED, it helps you get the necessary 3 mana to activate Grindstone. Like, all of the wins all work well enough with each other that just finding one helps you out with trying to get there on the other parts of the combo. So that's that piece. Let's dig into some of the other weird stuff. Ponder and not Brainstorm. Most of the time when you have one piece of the combo, you're just trying to find another piece of the combo and then just kill them. It's usually good enough to have one piece and then find the other. So that's why Ponder over Brainstorm, because Ponder is so much better at helping you find one individual card over like finding a combination of cards or trying to set something else up or put away some stuff you don't want because your hand is usually empty anyway. Like, look at all this nonsense. Next up. I just glazed over Thoughtcast. Why did I glaze over Thoughtcast? Because it was hidden behind the Ponders. Okay. So, Thoughtcast is, part of it, well, you have, what's the count? 24 plus 3 seats. So a lot. It's 27 artifacts, like half your deck almost. So but like your mana is weirdly tight, despite the fact you have so much. So credit to MegaDeus for this deck. He is the person who like came up with the shell initially, and I've been tweaking it since then. So credit where credit's due. He started with I don't remember if it was 3, some number of Thirst for Knowledge in this slot. And I've been pretty unhappy with Thirst for Knowledge just because it costs 3 mana, and on any turn where you're trying to kill them, it's just like 3 mana is too much mana. So, Thoughtcast usually, the first one is the most expensive and it usually costs 3. So, okay. But then the ones after that usually cost less because you're further in, and if you manage to like draw Thoughtcast after casting an Echo, you usually get to draw extra cards for like, you usually get to cast it for 1 because you have enough things. Of course, you get to draw extra cards. It's a divination. So what ends up happening, a lot of the time, it's weird, is you draw 7 and you have a bunch of lands in it, or you draw 7 and you have some sources, but you don't have like enough things to like put together a kill. It's weird. You draw 7 and you don't get the thing you want. So in the case, like, you'd have, if it was like Thirst for Knowledge or some other draw spell or some other like thing, you'd have to cast the thing that you cast and then pass the turn. But in this case, you have Thought Cast, which means that you can just cast it for 1 mana, and then if you draw like a piece of fast mana off that, you can continue to draw. And then, like, if you draw a piece of fast mana off that, you can cast additional Thought Casts if you have those, or you can cast Ponders if you have those. And it turns out that looking at, what is this? Like 6 extra cards on top of the 7 you drew is usually enough to put together a kill if you don't have it already. Mana, right? Let's tackle mana and then the flex slot. So mana is 6 soul lands. Yes, 6, because you don't actually want the full like number, because your blue sources are really important, it turns out, to cast like Narset, or sometimes even to get the second blue for Echo. But more importantly than either of these is so that you can double spell on the like after echoing. So yeah, blue sources are pretty important. Well, I guess like Narset might be about as important, but yeah, blue sources are pretty important to have. We have this many. I have an Inventor's Fair in here in like one of the blue mana slots. This might be a horrible mistake. That's how much we need blue mana. So I've cut I normally play I play 7 soul lands in this slot. I cut one because I kept drawing like a 3rd city, which is really bad. So this is where we are for our mana base. There's 3 seats, and there's 4 snow-covered island, and I've been pretty happy with that ratio so far. And lastly, the protection spells of, well, not lastly, I guess. So there's some protection spells, and there's a repeal. This is over like a random Echoing Truth or something like that. Well, it's over a bunch of things. Obviously, it's over like every other blue card in the magic, whatever. But it's over like other bounce spells, because you can cash it in for a card even if you don't need to use it. Like, you can target your Mox Opal with a repeal and still be even on mana. Even on mana, because you can just recast the Mox Opal afterwards, right? And you just like don't. So it's good. It's passable. It's like neutral when you don't need to do anything. Mostly neutral. They might have a Tarmogoyf or something in the graveyard, but it's mostly neutral when you don't need to do anything with it. And it's like when you do need to do something with it, it's usually better than the thing it would replace, unless the thing you're trying to get rid of is like a cost increasing spell specifically. But usually it's like the thing you want to get rid of is like Null Rod, or I guess not game 1. It's usually something annoying that isn't actually a cost reducer, because a cost reducer by itself doesn't stop you full stop unless you've like blanked on mana or something. And Urza's just insane with all the rest of the deck. Whenever you cast, most of the time when I cast an Urza, I win the game on the spot. The reason why there's only 2 is he's legendary, not as much of a deal. But the thing that's a way bigger deal is you can't get to 4 mana. It's wonky. It's weird, I know, but like 4 mana is really freaking hard. Too much of your mana sources are like really conditional. It costs double blue, although that's way less of an issue. And you have like just issues getting to 4 mana. Like it's weird, I know, but the deck is really like tight on that. So that's, I guess, all the slots in the deck for things. Just some other notes. I mentioned earlier, you can grindstone yourself to put echoes in the bin. Sometimes it happens such that you grindstone your opponent as Richard Garfield intended, so to speak. Not even so to speak. He was on the design team for Tempest where Grindstone was first printed, so he probably really did intend for you to just, like, mill people out the hard way, and sometimes you have to do it. But, it's a really corner case. Yeah. When I had an Academy Ruins in here, there was also the line of, like, grindstoning yourself for, like, the artifact that you needed in order to Academy Ruins at top of the deck. But all these are, like, really late game plays. I don't really know what I want to do with this slot. It should probably just be an island. What else? You can do things like repeal your own Urza to get another threat. You can do things like, what else is good? Just the way the cantrips all interact with each other and the way all the cards interact with each other is such that each card helps you get to the other cards or helps you out with the part of the other cards that are restrictive. Like Narset gets you mana sources for Urza, all this other stuff. But I think I'm retreading ground, so I'll cut this here.